Okay, so today I thought it would be cool to do something different with one of my beehives, and in this case it's the FlowHive Super here, which is made out of cedar, and I'm going to personalize it, and I thought I would share with you what the process is. Here's a box for FlowHive Cedar Super, which holds 7 flow frames, and I'm going to burn into the surface of this backboard, which actually is what faces outward when you're setting it up in your apiary, because the flow function side is actually away from the landing board. So here we have a nice clear piece of cedar. It's nice and clean, and I quickly did an outline here with some graphite paper, and we're going to get right into it. And there are 3 wood burning tools here, and they're made by the company called Razor, and I'm going to show how to use each of them here in my honeybee on honeycomb. And here's the controller, Razor tip, and here we go with the ballpoint here. So we're just going to go in and start doing some what we would call stippling. This, by the way, is my very first wood burning practice here. I've never done that before. I do have an artistic background, so I do work with other artistic medium like painting and sketching and so on. So it's just new to the wood burning, but this is pretty simple and pretty direct. Can't make any mistakes though, because you are burning into the wood, and that's going to stay there. It does emboss the wood quite a bit. In fact, the higher you set the temperature, the deeper it burns into the wood. So we're going to go around here with this honeybee's eye and just keep going, and I'll share the process with you. And of course, the darker you make everything, the higher the contrast, the more dramatic it's going to be when you see this on your bee box, and it will stand out. So just keep working away at it and take your time. The slower you move, of course, the darker the burn. The faster you move, the lighter the burn. And there is a controller where you can control the amperage that's going through this tip. So you can ramp it up till it's really hot. In fact, it'll glow red if you turn it up too high. So you want to kind of find a happy medium where it is burning the wood, but you're not like generating a lot of smoke. Of course, you want to be in a ventilated area. And I'm just about done here with this ball tip. I'm going to move into another tip here. This is what they're calling a shading tip, so it's nice and broad and flat. And as you can see, you have quite a bit of control here over how much it burns the wood. And the darker, again, remember, the more contrast, the more dramatic your image is going to be. And you can see how it does kind of burn into the wood, so it does burnish it here. And kind of a loosely laid out honeycomb design, just to make it interesting. I thought it would be cool to create some really dark lines around the edges of it to make it stand out. You don't have light if you don't have dark, so by making the rest of this board area here nice and dark, we're going to make the edges of the honeycomb stand out, and of course the fuzzy bee on top should really stick out once we're done here. Now, what's the difference between a bee and a wasp? Well, primarily it's the fact that bees are fuzzy. Bees have lots of hair on them. Honeybees actually have fur that has split ends on it. And those split ends are what creates that static as the honeybee flies through the air. And then when it lands on a flower, that static charge on their split ends of their hair actually collects the pollen right to the sides of the bee and right to its fur, and then they rake it off and sweep it back into their pollen pouches on their hind legs. So we're using a really sharp tip here that is just for making those really fine lines and giving us the impression of a fuzzy bee. Pretty much it just takes a lot of patience here. There isn't a lot to this. I think I have it turned up to about a 7 or an 8 on the dial. And again, this is very soft wood, so it burns easily. Cedar is pretty soft. You can see there around the eyes how it's all dimpled in here, and you just keep working at the the hairs of the bee. If you look closely at a bee's eyes even, there are hairs sticking out. So this isn't meant to be a super anatomically correct image of a honeybee, of course. This is just personalizing a bee box. And I haven't decided what kind of covering I'm going to put on this at the end. I don't know if I'll put a clear coat on it. I may just use Rain-X and seal the exterior up against rain and leave it natural and let it weather. I think natural and non-glossy is probably a more dramatic look in your apiary. Personalizing your boxes is not just ornamental. The honeybees will be able to pick out their own hive quicker if you have distinctive dramatic light and dark designs on the surface of their hive box, and they'll home in quicker on where they live. So it's an opportunity to express yourself artistically and also benefit the honeybees as they can find their bee box faster. Here again, I'm just trying to kill some of the light space. Don't forget to sign your work. Fred 2018, pretty simple. So there it is. Burn your bee boxes. I think that's it's going to be a lot of fun. This did not take very long. I think my wife said it took me 2 hours, something like that. Have fun. I'm going to put a link to this burning kit in the description below. And thank you for watching as always.